The Yankees are back on top. World champions for the 27th time. The Lakers repeat back-to-back titles. The LA Lakers. Back to throw Montana. Definite throws. This fight is over. Floyd Mayweather has a knockout victory over Ricky Hatton. Smiling. Oh! He slapped him! Conor McGregor is the new UFC featherweight champion of the world! Oh! Unbelievable!
Put the countdown mic up! Hell no!
Finally, Marcel has come back to championship rounds. That is a ripoff. No, but I'm back. Championship rounds, Marcel Pierre. Got some things to talk about. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right. I'm going to start with one championship because a couple, not one, two former UFC champions were on Showcase. All right. The first thing I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to focus on Eddie Alvarez, the Underground King. Now, Eddie Alvarez came into this fight saying that he wants to become the one championship lightweight champion and solidify his claim as the greatest lightweight to ever do it. Everybody's like, Eddie Alvarez, the greatest lightweight to ever do it? Is this guy smoking something? Is he crazy? No, he has a resume. The man has been world champion at every promotion that he stopped at, going all the way back to Bodog. You guys might not know what Bodog is, but that was one of the first fighting organizations that's why he's the Underground King. All right, so he went from Bodog, became champion, Dream champion, Bellator champion, UFC champion, and then he would have became the one champion. That hasn't happened yet, but that's what he's trying to do. So people say, oh, how can Eddie Alvarez be the greatest lightweight champion ever do it? There's Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib has never lost. Khabib, retired world champion. Okay, I get all of that, and I understand people that say Khabib is the greatest of all time. But think about it. Khabib hasn't been competing at the highest level for as long as an Eddie Alvarez. He's not done it as long as an Eddie Alvarez has done it. Okay? Khabib won the belt when he beat Raging Al Iaquinta. He then went on to beat Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, and Justin Gaethje. All right? That is his full championship history. That's what, 4 fights? Eddie Alvarez has been doing it at the highest level. Just to tie it in, just to give you some perspective, the UFC has put together, as you saw in my last episode, the UFC put together Charles Dubonc's Oliveira versus Iron Michael Chandler. All right. The thing about it is, Eddie Alvarez defeated Michael Chandler before he came to the UFC. And then Eddie Alvarez became champion in UFC. So the fact that a guy that has been defeated by Eddie Alvarez is fighting for that belt that Khabib vacated says a lot. It says a lot. This man has beaten the who's who of MMA. RDA to win the belt. Gilbert Melendez, former Strikeforce champion. Do I need to catalog? He's won belts. He's taken hardware. So what happened at 1? Let's go ahead and wrap that up. Put a bow on that. The man got disqualified again. And I say again because the first time he got disqualified was inside the UFC. He kneed a down opponent in a firefight he was having with Dustin Poirier. And when I was watching that, It looked like he was going to be on the wrong end of that firefight, but the fight ended with an illegal knee, disqualification, and I think they did a no contest on that one. But I think it should have been a disqualification. It was pretty blatant. He was pretty obviously a downed opponent. No, that's neither here nor there. Let's get to one again. So what happened is that Eddie had his opponent on a down position. They were wrapped up, and Eddie was wrapping around strikes, trying to hit his opponent in the head. Now, I watched this because I wanted to see just how legitimate the disqualification and stoppage actually was. The blows were everything short of devastating, okay? Those blows were going to be much of an annoyance to any type of fighter. They were not devastating blows. Were they to the back of the head? That's up for debate. I don't think they were. I think they were to the side of the head. If it touches the ear, it's not the back of the head. The punches I'm talking about. The guy grabs the back of his neck, hollers out in pain. They call it. All right? I'd say Eddie Alvarez was winning that fight and probably would have won the fight. If they fight again, I got Eddie Alvarez winning. So if they want to book the rematch, fine. But I think Eddie Alvarez comes away with the victory in that one. But he did leave disqualified April 7th. Okay? Moving along. We got Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson. Now, in my last episode, I said he was the greatest featherweight of all time. Freudian slip. Flyweight. Okay? And emphasis on flyweight because the flyweight division is very, very interesting in one championship. Now, everybody knows that Demetrious Johnson is the greatest flyweight in UFC history, the greatest flyweight in the world, all right? He's fought at bantamweight before, okay? He's been defeated by the likes of Dominic Cruz at bantamweight, 135 pounds. Key in on that 135 pounds, all right? So at one, they have weird weight cutting. Very weird. And when I say weird is in the UFC, flyweight is 125 pounds. But in one, flyweight is 135 pounds. That is very significant. Very significant. And I say that because Demetrious Johnson is flat out fighting larger men in one championship. He's not fighting flyweights. Flyweights is 125 pounds. He's fighting guys that are cutting to 135 pounds. All right? So is this a flyweight championship? No, this is a bantamweight championship. But because one is putting on the fight or put on the fight, it's a flyweight fight. But does this, okay, let's just tell you what happened, all right? Because I'm sure everybody knows by now, Demetrious Johnson was TKO'd, and it stemmed from a knee on the ground. That's also significant. In the UFC, we were just talking about Eddie Alvarez, the no contest with Poirier, knee to a downed opponent. Well, DJ took a knee, and he was definitely a downed opponent, and it sent him to Dream Street, and he was finished by a larger man. All right? So this man has fought the lion's share of his career in the WEC and the UFC. Pretty much all of it. You can't get kneed on the ground. So that scenario is not something that he's been dealing with or had to train for his whole career. So not only is he fighting a larger man that won championships is calling a flyweight, but he took a knee right to the face, and he was clearly a downed opponent. So what does this do to Demetrious Johnson's legacy? I don't think much, because all right, people want to say it was the GOAT period, but he's definitely the greatest flyweight to ever do it. This, in my opinion, was no flyweight bout. I mean, if you look at his opponent, clearly a larger man. Clearly. You look at what they weighed in. I think they were allowed to go to 134 pounds and a half or 100, something like that. Like, this is a bantamweight bout. DJ's the greatest flyweight. I'm going to leave that there. Hey, DJ, all praise and hope to you. I hope you, not say all praise, you're not God, but all best wishes to you, let's just say. I hope you get back on track, and I hope this doesn't deter you from further competition because you're flat out brilliant in there. All right, moving on. They announced it. That's right. The Ultimate Fighter is making its return. All right, Tough 29. It's going to feature bantamweights and middleweights. If you don't know what the Ultimate Fighter is, it's the UFC's version of reality television. They take a group of guys, group of fighters, in this instance from 2 different weight classes. They move them into a house, cut them off from the outside world. It's a tournament. The last 2 compete in the finale to get a 6-figure UFC contract. All right? Now, there hasn't been an Ultimate Fighter in a while. In Ultimate Fighter, the buzz has pretty much fell off for the most part. People don't watch like they used to. And you can call that oversaturation of mixed martial arts. Call it what you will. But if they had the right coaches in there, they would get the right eyeballs on the show. All right? Look, you had Kimbo Slice on the show. Great numbers. You had Conor McGregor on the show. Great numbers. So all I'm saying is the right coaches can make the right ratings. Who are the coaches? There was a fight that was supposed to be on UFC 260, Stipe versus Francis, that was postponed due to COVID-19. That fight was Alexander Volkanovski versus Bryan T-City Ortega. Now, they are the coaches of the Ultimate Fighter. Yes, that was announced. Now, both of these guys are great fighters. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, this is going to be for a featherweight championship bout at the end. Clearly. But we're talking about reality television. Okay? Now, the most controversial thing that T-City Ortega has done is slap the Korean Zombie's manager or his friend, who happened to be a rap star, a pop star in Korea. Okay? Alexander Volkanovski. What? But outside of his fighting, which it's not like he's going out there putting boys away, he's largely in part winning decisions. All right? Does he have a big personality? No. No, not by any stretch. You know, the man's from Australia. You know, take that for whatever, you know, you want to take it for. But what I mean is that I don't think Bryan Ortega versus Alexander Volkanovski is going to make for good TV. Where is the intrigue outside of, you know what I mean, them fighting for the belt? You know what I mean? The biggest fights are the ones where people care about and know about why they're fighting. And if the only reason why they're fighting is that, okay, well, we got the champion here and we got the number 2 contender because everybody knows Max Holloway is the number 1 contender. Max Holloway should probably be the champion. Neither here nor there. But the biggest fights are why are they fighting? You know, the rivalries. You know, the Aldo versus McGregor fight wasn't huge because it was the number 1 contender coming up fighting the champion. No, it was the story behind it. What story do you have behind this fight? And you're putting it on the Ultimate Fighter? I really don't understand it. They could have went with Masvidal versus Colby. There's a story behind that. And I'm sure that they could have built the Ultimate Fighter around TJ Dillashaw's return. There are many fighters out here that have rivals, that have storylines. If you're doing reality television, why not do a fight that has a damn storyline? That's just my 2 cents on that. All right. Moving along. Got a couple hot takes here. Chael Sonnen, American Gangster. All right. He came out on his podcast and he weighed in on the Francis Ngannou situation, the John Jones situation, and he had a very interesting take that I couldn't disagree with more. Okay? He said that fighters who sign contracts and I touched on this, you know what I mean? I touched on this in my last episode, I think, that signed contracts should fight those contracts out and stop trying to go to the negotiation board, you know what I mean, every time they win a fight. Well, I couldn't disagree more. Value changes. Stakes change. All right? What's the best way to put this? You know what I mean? Every fight is not the same, meaning you shouldn't get paid the same for every fight. I know, you sign a contract, but when you elevate yourself, your drawing power, and your prestige to a certain point, why would you fight under the same contract you were fighting under when you weren't on that level? So that makes no sense. If I go on a 5-fight winning streak on a 7-fight contract, that's obviously a long contract, and I win the belt in my 5th fight, and I have 2 fights left on my contract, you're telling me that I'm not, or let's just back it up and leave it a little even more there. I'm on a 5-5 winning streak, and I've got buzz behind me. I've been finishing guys, all right? I'm the only guy that makes sense to put in there with the champion who is also a draw, okay? So the intrigue is big on our fight, myself and the champions. It's hypothetical. I'm going into that fight. The gate sells out instantly. Pre-orders are through the books. Like, why would I fight earning the same money that I just fought with? No. I'm going to say this is a bigger fight. You know what I mean? I want to get paid what I'm worth for this fight. So no. If you sign a contract for several fights and a huge marquee fight comes up, you're a fool if you don't try to get more money because you're worth more. This fight wouldn't be as huge without you on the card. So no, Chael, I don't agree with what you said about the promoter not having to come to these fighters and get new terms because they're already under contract. Okay? If this was some bargain, we're talking about a fighter that hadn't main evented and now he's main eventing a fucking title fight on a pay-per-view. And you're telling me that he gets paid the same amount that he signed for? No. I completely don't agree with that. But I'm going to move on from you, Chael. Let's go ahead and go down to Miesha Tate. Now I'm bringing her back up because everybody knows she's coming back in and she's fighting Marion Renault. She ended her retirement. Here we go. Miesha Tate did an interview. She said that a trilogy fight with Rowdy Ronda Rousey would go differently. Now, my friends know, I was a big Miesha Tate fan. Seeing her defeated by Ronda Rousey, like I'm the one that was saying, oh, this time is going to be different. This time is going to be different. Listen, at a certain point, you have to just accept somebody's got somebody's number. All right? You've been defeated several times by Ronda Rousey with the same damn move, the armbar. All right? And now you're saying that another fight with her would go differently? Why are you saying that, Miesha? I love you, but are you saying that because Ronda Rousey is retired? She's not training or competing? I don't know if she's training, but she's definitely not competing in mixed martial arts anymore. Her focus is completely different. Her allure is gone. She's lost several times now. She's retired. Now you're saying, oh, it'll go differently? I'm sure it probably would. I'm sure it probably would. Poor taste, bad timing, and no, you're not going to get that fight anyways, so why talk about it? She's not talking about you. All right, keeping on the Miesha Tate thing, another ridiculous statement. Man, I don't know what is with the bantamweight women of the world. Also a fan of Cat Zingano, Alpha Cat. She came out and said that she welcomes a rematch with Miesha Tate. Now, everyone knows that Cat defeated Miesha in the UFC, and then she went on to fight Ronda Rousey, and she was defeated in seconds in the first round. All right? Now she's saying that she welcomes a rematch with Miesha Tate. Cat, love you too. Alpha Cat. Listen, you fight for Bellator now. Miesha Tate, former UFC champion, still fights for the UFC. So, you're not getting that fight. I don't understand why these women are calling out people that they're not going to fucking compete against. Call out somebody in your own division, in your own promotion. That would make a lot more sense. All right. Moving on. Got a few fight bookings that have been made final, or the fight bookings have been made final. One that doesn't have a date, but it's definitely final. Definitely a lot of prestige, a lot of hype behind it. But let's go ahead to the first one. Gotta mention this one first. Happening July 11th. That is Dustin the Damn Diamond Poirier versus the notorious Conor McGregor. Now this is their rubber match, if you will. The old saying goes that the person that wins the second fight usually wins the trilogy fight. We'll see what goes in this fight, because Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier, the first fight happened at featherweight. Conor knocked him out in the first round. Their second fight, well documented. Poirier ended up busting up McGregor's legs, finished him off with strikes. All right? So Conor said that he took more of a boxing approach because he was looking to angle his way into, he didn't say these words exactly, but this is what was reported. This is what people are knowing. He was trying to angle his way into a boxing fight, I think with Manny Pacquiao next. So he took more of a boxing approach, and it was ill-advised. He since then said he's going to, go back to how he was coming into this trilogy fight. We'll see if that makes a difference. Conor had been on the shelf for a long time. And if you count the Cerrone fight, that fight barely was a fight, didn't last very long. So he doesn't have a lot of cage time. Not a lot of cage time at all. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, has been competing. He's been fighting Eddie Alvarez. He's been fighting Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean? He's been Khabib. He's been busy. Daniel Hooker. So he is finely tuned in the cage still. He's still in stride. All I'm saying is that it's very, very intriguing. I'm not going to make a pick for winner here. I can't wait for July 11th to see what happens. All right. Good luck to both the guys. Next, this fight is happening on April 24th. Also another rematch. Not the third fight, but the second fight. The first fight happened on short notice. Had a lot of fan buzz and sold a lot of pay-per-views. I'm talking about Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman versus Jorge Gamebred Masvidal. All right. Now, Jorge seems to think that he came in and hurt Usman, and Usman couldn't do anything to him. Well, Usman came in. Neither one of these guys were training for each other. Jorge had a bad weight cut, trying to get down for that fight on short notice. Okay, I understand that. All right. All I'm saying is that at no point during that fight did Usman, was he threatened? Did I think, oh. You know what I mean? Come on, Usman, like, what's up? Recover. No, he didn't have to recover from anything. So if Usman is able, in which I think he will be, able to control Masvidal for 5 rounds, he'll win the fight. I mean, obviously, Masvidal has a superior striking. But what is superior striking going to do when somebody's got you on your butt or you're back against the cage? You're best at range. When you're able to fight and strike at range, you're one of the best to ever do it. I'm not even like over speaking on that. Inside the cage, you're one of the greatest strikers to ever do it. But the levels in there, the level of your striking versus the level of your grappling, they're not at the same level. And Usman is going to do what he needs to do to win this fight. He's not going to try to make a statement and stand with you and beat you at your own game. No, he's going to win the fight by the easiest way that he can, the path of least resistance. And again, I see that happening. But the boys got to show up and fight. So look for that one, April 24th. Moving along. This next fight deals with a mixed martial artist, but it is a boxing fight. I've done a lot of coverage over the Paul brothers. Yes, I'm talking about Ben Funky Askren versus Jake Paul. All right, this fight's happening April 17th. It's a boxing bout. You know, I haven't said anything about this fight till now because I was trying to wait till it got a little bit closer to fight time. But I don't know who I got in this one. And I got good reason for that. The reason why is Ben Askren's boxing in this fight. He's not exactly the greatest boxer, and that's putting it lightly. He's known for his wrestling. If this was a wrestling match, you know what I mean? Everybody, their mother, their grandmother, their great-grandmother, their greasy granny, all of them would have their money on Askren. Nobody in this world would have their money on Paul. But this is a boxing match. All right? They want to bill it as, former MMA world champion. Yes, he was MMA world champion. Won championship, Bellator. Yeah, he did that. Ben Askren. They want to bill it as that. But what did he win those championships with? His wrestling, and not his boxing. Are they mentioning that in the promotion? Of course not. No. They want to say, okay, this guy's been belted by 2 different promotions. He's got a victory in the world's largest promotion, the UFC, albeit controversial, still a victory nonetheless. Versus this YouTube sensation, Jake Paul, who knocked out Nate Robinson in his last fight. The kid's got some buzz. He's been beefing with McGregor, his camp, Dylan Dennis. Anybody that'll say anything to him, he'll say something back. The only way that I see Askren winning this fight is if he finds a way to gas Paul. Because if they just box, I really don't think Askren is going to do well. So if he can get Paul to punch himself out and then have his way with him, yeah, it's going to be the Askren show. But that's pretty much all the input I want to put in on this fight. Because it's really a train wreck. It's a cash grab. It is this fight proves nothing. Jake Paul, if you want to fight an MMA fighter, fight one that's known for his striking. And that's all I got to say about that. Steve Austin. All right. Now, moving on. Last fight I'm going to talk about, and this fight is to be determined. It is the Bellator featherweight final. Yes, the champion made it to the final. Patrcio Pitbull. I can't pronounce his last name. Is it Fure? Yes. He made it to the final versus undefeated AJ McKee. This is one of the biggest fights in Bellator history. And I say that because Pitbull is the first ever champ in Bellator history. Yes, knocked out Michael Chandler. And a lot of people don't gloss over that, but he did that. So when you sit in front of the TV and you're watching Alvarez versus Chandler fight for the UFC world title, just know that the guy was knocked out by Pitbull. All right, so he's fighting undefeated McKee. Scott Coker. Why am I saying their names together? Because McKee is 17-0 undefeated. His entire professional career has been in Bellator. Who brought McKee to Bellator? Scott Coker. And now he's fighting for the title because he beat everybody in the tournament to get there. This guy is Bellator bred. If he can become the champion and beat the guy that knocked out Chandler, that's saying something. That's showing that Bellator can build up these fighters without them having to take a bath in the UFC first. So I'm pulling for McKee. I want to see him get it done. That'd be great for the sport and great for Bellator. But if Pitbull gets it done, I ain't going to lose any sleep. I ain't going to be upset. I ain't mad at you. Got nothing but love for you. Do you think, boy? Ba-na-na-na-na. All right, I'll stop right there. All right, moving on. Keeping on the Bellator topic here. Bellator 256, which happens actually tonight, and that's Bader versus Machida 2. I'm going to talk about this quickly. In their first fight in the UFC, I think it happened in Japan. UFC went back to Japan. Bader actually was caught with a straight by Machida, rushing in to land a devastating strike, and he was put to bed. Bader's a different fighter now. Machida's still a brilliant striker, a brilliant counter striker that can catch and drop anybody. And he's got flying knees now. So that means a lot when you're fighting a wrestler like Ryan Bader. But the thing about it is that Bader's problem was he was on the Ultimate Fighter. He was a great wrestler. I think he went to Arizona State. All-American. I'm pretty damn sure. Anyways, he was wrestling guys. But then he started knocking guys out. Just like Sugar Rashad Evans, Michigan State. Great wrestler, but then he started knocking guys out. Johnny Hendricks, great wrestler, Oklahoma State. He started knocking guys out. Why do I keep saying this? Because these brilliant wrestlers who can control where the fight takes place anytime they want, who are fighting up to championship level, doing that, are falling in love with striking. And they're getting away from what got them there. Okay? So what happens when you stop knocking guys out? You're getting knocked out. Bader, knocked out by Machida. Evans, knocked out by Machida. Hendricks, knocked out by Wonder Boy. Knocked out by a lot of guys. I'm pretty damn sure. All I'm saying is that's what I'm saying. Bader actually has he's came back around with his game plan. Since joining Bellator, he's been using his wrestling a lot. Because he was undefeated before he got beat by John Jones. You know what I mean? He was winning that fight against Glover Teixeira before Glover knocked him out. And now he's been taking guys down and pounding them out. Couldn't do it to Vadim Nemkov. But he's been taking guys out and pounding them out and getting them out of there. Barely getting hit. Smart. This is the light heavyweight tournament. Bader was the light heavyweight champion. Lost it to Nemkov. I just said that. Just didn't say the belt. But one thing he still is the heavyweight champion. So, Machida's aging. Still got fire, but aging. I got Bader. Bader takes him down. Bader TKOs him. All right. Also on this card, Kat Zingano and Liz Carmouche. Liz Carmouche was Ronda Rousey's first fight in the UFC. She almost pulled off the upset. Kat Zingano, I've already spoke about her in this show. They're not fighting each other, but they're on the card. Moving on. All right. Just last thing here. Little last thing, and it's UFC on ABC 2. Now, this fight was supposed to be headlined by Darren Till versus Marvin Vettori. I covered it in my last fight. It's since then been changed to Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. I'm going to run through this card real quick, and I'm just going to do the main card, and then we're going to get the hell out of here, guys. All right. First fight I want to touch on is Platinum Mike Perry versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now, Mike Perry has lost 3 of his last 4 fights and 6 of his last 10 fights. Now, he's an entertaining guy, controversial. People watch him. I think that's why he's still in the promotion right now. But he needs a win here. He definitely needs a win here. And he could win, but he's got to show up in the greatest shape. He hasn't. His camp situation has been shaky, and that's putting it lightly. He's been being cornered by his baby's mother, the mother of his child. He's an interesting guy, you know what I mean? But he needs this win here. All right, he's 14-7 in the UFC. All 7 of his losses have came inside the UFC. And he's fighting a guy that's 13-2, who just came off his first UFC loss, a unanimous decision loss to Nicholas Dalby. So, one thing about this fight is that I know people don't like to do MMA math, but Perry actually lost the decision to Dirty Bird Tim Means, and Rodriguez finished Tim Means. All right, so take that for what it's worth. From a betting perspective, I can't confidently put my money behind Perry, but Perry is a finisher, even though he hasn't finished anybody recently. Hell, his last victory came against the guy they brought in to fight CM Punk, who had won one fight. It was 1-0. Okay? So it's not like but that's the thing. He's got victories over guys like Paul Felder. So he can beat guys. You know, that's the thing. Like, but does he? Does he show up? And he's not with Jackson Winklejohn. He's not with any type of strong camp right now, to my knowledge. So I just don't know what Mike Perry we're going to get. So if I had to put my money on somebody, I got to rock with Rodriguez, who wins a lot more than he loses. All right. Next fight on the card, and we're just going from the bottom of the top of the main card again. You got Nina Ansaroff versus Mackenzie Dern. This is significant. This is Ansaroff's first fight back since becoming a mother. She's 10-6 in the promotion. She had went on a pretty good winning streak, beating the likes of Claudia Gadelha, which is a huge win for her. But her last fight, she lost a decision to a very, very great up-and-coming fighter in Tatiana Suarez. On the other side, you got Mackenzie Dern. Started her career. She had some weight cutting issues, making weight. She's since rounded that out. She's also a mother, and she's on a 3-fight win streak. If this fight goes to the ground, I think Ansaroff gets submitted. Striking's another story. Now, Ansaroff is the significant other of the greatest women's fighter of all time, Amanda Nunes. I'm going to give Ansaroff the edge on the striking, but again, if it goes to the ground, rocking with Mackenzie Dern. From a betting perspective, which way am I going with this? Tatiana Suarez, great grappler. She pretty much won that fight by being able to control Ansaroff. Ansaroff's a new mother. This is her first fight back. Mackenzie's been competing. My money's on Dern. All right, so I'm not saying she submits her for sure, but she does enough and she controls the position enough to at least get the nod, but a submission wouldn't be a crazy happening. All right. Next fight, we got smiling Sam Alvey versus the Cuban Missile Crisis, Julian Marquez. All right, so this fight's interesting because Sam Alvey hasn't won a fight in his last 5 fights. Now, I could say that he's lost his last 5 fights, but that just ain't the case. He's lost 4 of his last fights, and his last fight was a draw. So he's fighting Julian Marquez, who is, what's his record? He's 8-2, and he's a damn finisher. He'll strangle you, or he'll just flat out knock your ass out. But he has been outpointed. You know, he's 8-2. Sam Alvey is 33-14. Do you see the experience level here? Completely different experience level. Now, if Alvey has had his chin touched a few times lately, and he's gone down. So Julian Marquez can touch your chin and put you away. But, I mean, he hasn't touched everybody's chin and put him away, but all of his wins have been by finish, either submission or KO, and KO more often than submission, a lot more often. So, obviously, Marquez is the favorite coming here. But I think Sam Alvey is a sleeper. Okay, he's a wily veteran. And his striking, you know what I mean, is good as well. And I think his volume will be more than Marquez's. The only thing about it is his chin. If he gets his chin checked, will his chin pass the inspection? I don't know. And that's why I wouldn't even bet on this one. But if I was, I would probably put my money on Alvey, because I feel like he can do enough to win a decision here. It's a 3-round fight. I feel like he could be busier than Marquez, who's a bigger guy, and win a decision. Marquez actually was losing his last fight until he pulled off a submission win. Sam Alvey's back is against the damn wall. He's lost 4 of his last 5 and drew in his last fight. I got Alvey winning this fight. saving some face. Smiling Sam Alvey. All right, moving on. Got Arnold Allen versus Sadiq Youssef. Now, both of these fighters have lost one fight in their mixed martial arts careers. Very good, prominent fighters. Arnold Allen has a victory over Gilbert Melendez. Sadiq Youssef is a finisher. He knocks boys out. Now they're fighting each other. All right, so listen. This fight, to me, is about, hey, can Sadiq knock Allen out? Can he finish Allen? Because Sadiq has gassed in fights. Allen has more of a complete gas tank and is pretty savvy striking and grappling in his own right. So if I had to say who win this fight, Sadiq is the favorite here. I'm going to go with Allen. I'm going to go with Allen because of his gas tank. And Sadiq, although he gets guys out of there, he doesn't have a victory over anybody the caliber of Allen or as impressive as Allen as far as opponent rankings go. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to crap on the guy. He's got one loss in his mixed martial arts career. He's doing his thing. Everybody loses in mixed martial arts. I got Allen by decision. Moving on to the main event. Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. Vettori 16-4-1, Holland 21-6. Vettori's on a 4-fight winning streak, and Holland was on a pretty good winning streak of his own before that lifeless performance against Derek Brunson. Now, the hype has sizzled on Kevin Holland because of that performance. But who wins this fight? Vettori was originally training for Darren Till, a striker. So he was probably already trying to game plan on how to get Darren Till to his back, because everybody has had success that has gotten Darren Till to his back. I think getting Kevin Holland to his back will be easier than getting Darren Till to his back. But can you keep him there? Who do I have in this fight? I don't have this fight going to a finish. I don't think a finish happens in this fight. Watch me be dead wrong. I just think that a blueprint to beating Kevin Holland has been written. The man has shown that he can hurt you on the feet. So why fight with him on the feet when you can put him on his back and he'll pretty much, accept that position. He said that, okay, I'm not going to do that in this fight. I'm going to listen to my corner. I'm not going to talk as much. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. This man has almost 30 fights in his career. You know what I mean? So I think if Vettori gets him down, you're going to see more of the same. Vettori is not a slouch on the feet either. So we'll see how this fight goes, but I think Vettori is going to take that Derek Brunson business-like attitude into this one and get the victory over Kevin Holland and improve his winning streak to 5. But if Holland decides he's going to take this fight a lot more seriously, if he doesn't accept the ground positions, then he's a live dog. And he's only a dog in this fight because of that performance against Brunson. So if you still believe in Holland, put your money on Holland. I just don't think he's going to come out and look like a completely different fighter or a fighter that, you know what I mean, isn't going to accept the ground positions. That's just me, though. I could be wrong. I've been wrong several times. I just don't feel it in this one. But all right. That's the show, guys. Gonna be coming back to cover more very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Always appreciate when you do that. Again, this is Marcel Pierre, Championship Rounds. I'm not going to say the same thing because this time I'm going to say keep it I messed up. Keep it spicy. You see it. Goodbye.